now here is Anne to read from her book, Loose Ends.
Thank you, Alan. Loose Ends, as you might imagine, is poems and stories about the major themes that have threaded through my life. There are 5 sections and separate opening and closing sections. I've selected poems from each of the 5 sections and an extra, beginning with Fractured Dreams from the section It's All There. 1929, the joy of my March birth is shadowed by the October stock market crash. Greedy speculation, holding companies out of control, tight credit, bank loans that can't be liquidated, rob millions of their lifetime savings. My father was never the same. You never knew the man I married, my mother said years later. The Dirty 30s, North Bay, the soup pot on the back of the wood stove for our dinner, and for the desperate people who rode the rails across Canada looking for work, returning dull-eyed and penniless. Father hunched over the table to pay the minimum for each bill. A pound of pork liver, a disguise to feed 4 people, 4 meals. Bone-weary work, backyard summer bounty, preserved, pickled, and sauced, until the joy of rhubarb's first ruby nubs spelled the end of wrinkly cabbage and turnip. Today, I grab my cane, go out to look again. No rhubarb yet, but the squirrels have disturbed the ground around my greening patio garden. Homemade Christmas decorations nostalgia packed for the north. Fancy socks, PJs edged in rickrack braid, our needs dressed up for Christmas stockings. A carefully shopped want wrapped in saved comic pages in the toe, with a once-a-year orange. When to eat it? The Christmas book. Lathered with a cup of hot water, Father shaves in earmuffs. Aunt Dee comes from Toronto, bringing smock dresses and hoarded chocolate makings. Her ears freeze from car to home to house. She was never one for hats. Back to Toronto in 34, the excitement of a new home, beginning school, and new friends. For my parents, though, there are disquieting rumors about the growing threat of infantile paralysis, of a German leader called Hitler, of that country's stealthily built military in violation of the Treaty of Versailles, and mounting aggression toward neighboring countries and against Jews. Heads averted in quiet conversation, tense faces smooth over at our questioning glance. But how can they hide from us the all-pervasive anxieties that filter our lives? I too can have a covenant with change, a pledge to let go, laying aside resistance for the promise of becoming. Robin Wall Kimmerer wrote those words in her book, Gathering Moss. And here is my covenant. March 22, 2021 marks a full year of COVID-19. Masks and double masks, social distancing in-home and outdoors, of hand washing and hand wringing, and a vaccine I may or may not be able to take. If that isn't just like March, the first glimmer of spring, buried by knowing there will be more wind-swirling dust, more soul-gloomy day-long rain saturating the environment with dust and mold, and the inevitable April snowstorm and early May frost before winter is done with us. I need the winter snow shovel to bury the memories of all I have lost in 8 months of isolation. I need the heavy rake to pull dead last-minute fall leavings away from the garden beds. The smaller stuff first, last year's dusty ground covers and perennial stalks left standing to provide seeds for the birds. They must stay a while longer, homes for the eggs of this year's pollinators, waiting for their birthing time. There are good reasons for all this gray, desiccated untidiness, not just careless remnants or reluctant reminders of what willed forgetting, but the invisible chrysalis of possibilities, imagining a wordless longing to connect with the calls to mind and heart at the start of spring. Here's a poem from the section called Close to the Bone. It's called Building and Unbuilding. A sunny afternoon on the boardwalk with my walker. Couples and families laugh and chat. I smile and nod from our 2 geese hockey stick distance. My son tells me how when following social distancing rules, usually one person in a couple takes the lead. The others follow. I am my own couple, leader and follower, sometimes a friendly bickering, sometimes an argument, even a nasty disagreement. If I dash to the greengrocer to buy what I forgot 2 days ago on my one permitted visit, who will notice? I mutter to myself. I will notice, I hear scolding. You don't need radicchio for the salad. 1 radicchio is not worth a life. She echoes the mayor's exasperation. Rainy days go by, long days of not moving freely, nor breathing in outside air. Like all old bodies, mine stiffens, regains traction so noisily I can hear every crackle and moan. A third conversation. The cold chill blowing through open doors to freshen the house is a long way from April air in my hair. The taste of it moving down to the bottom of my lungs. Maybe she won't hear me, I say to myself quietly, but then wonder, what is a life worth? Good question, she snaps back so quickly. I know she's always listening. The next one I want to read is a poem that is about some of the things people say to other people who are much, much older than they are. It's called 6 Feet Apart, but Not Under. My goodness, that's great for your age. You don't look a day over. I'd never have guessed. On a cane and still driving? Do you have any plans for? Really? Who told you? What does your doctor say? Have you thought about when you get tired of cooking, miss something, or can't find? I see, but what will you do? Wouldn't it be better if I'm not mumbling? That's okay. I forget things all the time. Not feeling quite your old self? Let me. No hurry, no worries. I'll take care of it. But I don't mind. It won't take me a minute. I think you told me that one. The old stories take you back, eh? In a book? Well, good for you. Keeps you busy. Out of trouble. What do you write? Oh, I'm not much for poetry. I should try it someday. I've always thought when I retire. Missing a page here. I never take a nap. A trip? I'm not sure. Maybe too much for you. Where could we go? Tea would be fine. I'll try to get here more often. Meantime, maybe Netflix. They have lots of old movies. Have you tried talking books? Never too old to learn, eh? Oh, you're on Zoom. I hope I do as much as hold it all together the way you still can. You make it look easy. I sure wish I had that kind of time on my hands. And I'd like to read you Apricot Lane. Pink clouds in May on Apricot Lane, a joy on my everyday walk. I watch buds bloom, fade, form fruit, and ripen. They make such a mess, a neighbor complains. I should cut down my tree. Oh no, I gasp, make jam. Help yourself, he shrugs, but I don't. One night, I need to be with trees. I stroll down the lane, touch the trunks, rejoice with them that they've come through the blight so well. I breathe in the sharp sweetness of ripe fruit, almost step on some, when I hear chattering conversation above. High in the branches, raccoons, way more than one family, jostle, argue, and gorge in drunken delight on fermented fruit they've found on the ground. I laugh, look up. May I join the party? Silence, as dozens of masked eyes peer down, tiny hands grasping their spoils. We gesture attentively, trade chittering calls until I wave goodbye. They were too busy eating. And the last poem I'd like to read is, what you might call a little meditation or a little question about the creative process. It's called You Never Know. What if there is a goddess of color and clay, of dance, of not knowing? What makes life interesting, she'd say, is not knowing, when people will search for the intangible, the malleable, the ephemeral, follow each other, one step ahead or behind, walk beside, but not in, barely discernible footprints, dance around, hop right over them, eyes closed or wavering on the far horizon. It's all right to cross barriers, quite fine to be one beat behind. The clay doesn't have to look like anything after another anyway. What you don't recognize is just around the corner. What you can't remember, she'd say, meets you as you cross the street. Thank you.